In a survey released by the Ministry of Digital Development and Information, nearly 9 in 10 parents say they've introduced at least one type of action when it comes to guiding their child's digital habits. This includes restricting screen time or content types. But only about a third feel confident that they're doing it right. Many are also calling for more support. Now, when it comes to screen time, many children are exceeding the Health Ministry's daily recommended limit. 1 hour per day is the suggested maximum for those aged 2 to 6. On weekdays, nearly 3 in 5 exceeded that, while on weekends, that figure went up to 4 in 5. Now, for children 7 to 9, about 1 in 4 exceeded the 2-hour limit on weekdays and more than half on weekends. As for the children aged 10 to 12, just under half of them overshot the weekday guideline, while about 7 in 10 did so on weekends. The survey also looked at what worries parents most when their children go online. 4 in 5 cited exposure to inappropriate content, and more than half were concerned about interactions with strangers, cyberbullying, and screen addiction. Now, about 3 in 5 parents want more government support. The authorities have outlined these ways: more tailored digital parenting resources, community workshops and online guides, as well as partnering influencers, grassroots and industries to promote healthy digital habits. This is on top of online safety codes for social media and soon app stores. A new online safety bill will also be tabled next year.
To make sure that these resources are available, we try to sort of categorize it according to the age groups, because that's how parents, you've got to kind of look at, shape things to what they will need. The other way is also to try and go to where the parents are, where are the captive audience. So it is really finding opportunities where we can reach parents in the community, in the spaces where they are at, to help support them and provide this information.
And for more analysis, I'm joined by Chong Ee Jay, a counsellor and family life educator. Now, Ee Jay, thanks for joining us in the studio today. Now, we've seen the figures earlier. Why is it so challenging for parents to restrict the screen time of their children?
I think the challenge of parenting is really real today in the digital age. I think from a lot of the stories that I've been hearing, parents are struggling on the weekdays, especially working parents. When they come home, they only have limited amount of time. And the first thing they go to will naturally be schoolwork and all that. And so when the kids want to have some downtime on screens, they naturally just say, okay for it. And, and on the flip side, it happens on the weekends. We see the numbers shooting and rocketing through the roof. And I hear from parents that on the weekends, while they're at home, they too want to have their me time and they want to relax. So the easiest way, and screens have become a tool of convenience. By allowing the kids on the screen, the parents can have their own relaxation time, and the kids can also have their entertainment time as well. So you see the numbers going up extravagantly over the weekends.
Yeah, so the challenge is definitely there for the parents, but at the same time, it's also weighing the long-term consequences of prolonged screen time. So how concerned are you if things go down in this trajectory?
Actually, I'm very concerned as a parent myself, and in my professional work that I see working with parents, I'm already seeing some of the consequences from young age when there's that unhealthy dependency on screens. You see kids growing up, there are some senses of what we call like developmental delays, whether in terms of learning, in terms of speech. We also see kids who are less easy to focus on their studies, which needs to, for the academic focus as well. So they're struggling in that aspects. And of course, in the long term, we do see cases, especially when they reach the teenage years, addictions, and you see long hours, and of course, the other dangers which parents have cited, like online dangers and bullying as well.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about that then, right? So parents are expressing concern regarding online harm. What kind of measures do you think that the different stakeholders can also take into consideration when it comes to preventing online harm, apart from what the parents can do?
Yeah, I think for a start, I think the government has really done quite a good job with all the code of practices, the safety measures that are coming in. I think maybe 2 other ways that I've thought of that could come into possible practices would be maybe from, for example, like the internet service provider's point of view. Could there be considerations put in place where things like filtering software, spread filtering, these could be default or complementary for parents to consider? And maybe on the school's platform, and these are what I really hear from parents themselves, especially for lower primary kids. There seems to be situations where the kids are overexposed to online platforms, in the school context. And when they come home after school, they sort of demand from the parents more screen time for the purpose of academic usages, but those does contribute to the screen time hours.
Yeah, and in trying to manage this as well, the parents are actually feeling a little bit pressured, right? They're saying that only a third of parents in this survey feel that they're confident that they're doing it right. And they've been calling for a lot more support. What kind of support do you think might be helpful for them?
From my experience many years ago, I always thought that it would be more like resources and digital parenting workshops. I think now, because the so-called village has increased, we have more people in the family trying to get involved to support the children in managing their screen habits. So perhaps some of these resources also do need to incorporate reaching out to grandparents and maybe even helpers or uncles and aunties who are involved in the process too.
And creating that balance is also very important. I know you mentioned earlier that in schools, of course, the digital literacy element of it is very important. But then how do you balance all of that, right, as a parent, when it comes to allowing them to be exposed to digital literacy, but also not wanting to expose them too much to online harm?
Well, personally, I believe in setting up the boundary it has to start from a very young age.
How young would you say?
I would say in the moment you're prepared to let them have a view of the screen, you need to start setting the boundaries in terms of what can be viewed, what can be seen, or what cannot be seen, and how much time, and how you set the time as well. I mean, some parents that I know of, they literally went back old school and have an analog timer kind of thing at home, because kids can't have a good sensing of what is 5 minutes, for example, even if you cue them. So some of these, we need to set the boundaries. And then within this boundary, that's when parents educate, parents manage, monitor the child's usage and their habits. And more importantly, I find this is ever so important, parents role modeling on the device usage. How much time especially, because so much often the kids are complaining that the parents are themselves using the devices, but they are not able to or told not to as well.
Yeah, do as I do, not as I say, you know, as the saying goes. So in this case, the survey also shows that the biggest concerns among the parents actually include exposure to inappropriate content, there's cyberbullying, that's also very worrying for them, and then also screen addiction. So what are some examples you've encountered maybe in your practice that have been quite effective in tackling these concerns?
I used to always think that there needs more high-tech solutions. What I found that worked a lot with parents is that it comes back to the old school measures. It comes back to spending quality time with the children to better understand their community. That's when you talk about things like dangers of online strangers, issues regarding to cyberbullying, and then spending time with the kids so that they don't get hooked on the digital play, but they are more interested in playing with the parents, board games, real socialization. So I guess as parents, we can't run away from spending quality time with the kids, as much as is a challenge.
Yeah, that might also help with the parent screen time also in this case, right? So in this case, what can the community do? What role can the community play? I know it's mentioned in the story earlier that there's hope of getting influencers, grassroots, and also industries involved. Do you think that can play a part in terms of the involvement of the wider community?
Definitely. I think the big message that has to come across, that this is something that we want to help better support families with, not just the children, because the children will say that the parents are also struggling with this issue. So as the HO saying goes, takes a village to raise a child. We all need to chime in together. I think community of influencers, and especially parents, as we come together, we need to upsell or up-promote real play more than just digital play. And of course, I've mentioned earlier, community partnerships with social service agencies, workshops that can be run, but more than just parenting workshops, but I think workshops that involve the whole family and coming to learn about this digital age together as well.
Right. Ee Jay, thank you so much for sharing your tips and your insights with us. I've been speaking with Chong Ee Jay. He's a counsellor and family life educator.